In this video, we'll add an enemy to our platformer game and implement its mechanics. But before we dive in, let's recap what we accomplished in the last video. We set up player movement, allowing the character to jump between platforms smoothly. We also added animations for running, jumping, and idling. Lastly, we ensured the character flipped direction when moving left or right. Now, let's move on to adding enemies and their interactions with the player. Here's our scene, and I want to place an enemy right here. To do that, I'll simply drag this monster from the asset list into the scene. Now, to make the enemy move, we need to add some AI. Double-click on the monster, go to Behaviors, and click Add Behavior. From the list, select Rectangular Movement. This behavior allows the enemy to move left and right. For the movement, I'll set the width to 100, and since we want the enemy to move horizontally only, I'll set the height to 0. Click Apply to save. Let's preview the game to see it in action. As you can see, the enemy is now moving back and forth, but it's moving a very short distance, and the speed is quite low. Let's tweak that. Double-click on the enemy again, go to Behaviors, and this time, increase the width to 400 so it moves farther. I'll also reduce the duration to 3 seconds, or maybe 2 seconds, to make it move faster. Click Apply again. Now let's preview the game. Much better. The enemy moves smoothly and looks great. But there's a problem. When our player gets close to the enemy, nothing happens. The player can't attack, and the enemy doesn't interact with the player. Let's fix that by adding collision logic. Go to the Events tab and add a new event. For the condition, select Collision. This checks if two objects collide. I'll set the two objects as the monster, enemy, ticker, and the player. Now I want the enemy to die when the player jumps on it. To do that, I'll add another condition. Player is falling. This means whenever the player is falling and lands on the enemy should be destroyed. For the action, select Delete an Object and choose the monster. Let's preview the game again. Now, when the player jumps on the enemy, the monster disappears. Perfect. But what happens if the player collides with the enemy without jumping on it? Let's handle that. We'll add another event. For the condition, I'll copy the collision condition we just created. This time, for the action, we want to respawn the player at their starting position. First, let's check the initial position of the player in the scene. The x-coordinate is 206, and the y-coordinate is 413. Go back to the Events tab. For the action, select Change Position and set the player's x and y coordinates to 206 and 413, respectively. But there's one more thing. We need to ensure the player respawns only when they collide with the enemy and are not falling. So I'll add another condition. Player is not falling. This ensures the player doesn't respawn while jumping on the enemy. Let's preview the game again. As you can see, if the player hits the enemy without jumping, they're sent back to their starting position. Everything is working perfectly. To recap, we've successfully added an enemy to the game with movement mechanics and implemented logic for interactions with the player. In the next video, we'll take things further by adding collectibles and a scoring system to make the game even more engaging.